you get the sense that didn't throw him. He still lived his life on purpose with the sense that God was still in control of his schedule, even though these interruptions happen. And I think we can be the same way, even if we're running behind because it took longer for the kid to find their uniform than you thought it was going to take, and that's just life happening. We still don't have to be hurried on the road, even if we're trying to meet a deadline.
Right.
How would Jesus drive? Have you ever wondered what it would look like if Jesus had a driver's license? I mean, you've seen the What Would Jesus Do wristband, but let's get more personal. How would Jesus drive? This is episode 32 of our Unhurried podcast, season 2. I'm your host, Doug Kyle. Ryan, of course, is alongside me in the studio.
Hey.
Great to be together again. We missed last week.
We did.
We had 1 week off, and I'm feeling the love because so many people came up to me yesterday at church and said, "Did you guys not do a podcast? Or what happened?"
Right.
So I'm going, "Wow, you're current. You're following along. You're listening." So that was nice. I know people are tracking with us.
Right. I had a really great conversation yesterday at the lobby too, where she was telling me that she's like, I'm a few episodes behind, but I try and catch up like on the new ones, but I want to go back and listen to like the old ones, know. And I was like, that felt good. That felt good that like every week, like people are tracking along with us. So
totally.
it felt very nice. We feel the love, so it's very nice.
Definitely feeling the love for sure. Last week didn't work out. My schedule didn't work out to be able to do one. So, but we're back on track and should be here now, week by week here. Continue on here in the middle of season 2, which is awesome. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a one-off though, because I didn't speak yesterday, this past Sunday. We had I'm sure the youngest speaker we've ever had. Jeremy is a college student who was doing a preaching internship this summer, did a great job. So that was awesome.
It was great.
So I wanted to do a little one-off though.
Sure.
But it's always interesting when I'm not speaking, because I was at church Sunday, and someone took your phrase, and then they did a little twist to it.
Really?
Instead of 2 sides to every puck, they said there's 2 sides to every Doug.
Well, that makes it sound like there's an evil side, or a mischief. Well, there is a mischievous side.
It might be the mischievous side, not necessarily hopefully not the evil side, but the mischievous side. They said, you're a different person when you're not preaching,
right.
Which is kind of true. When I'm preaching, I feel like I'm really thinking a lot about what I want to share, and my focus is sort of the platform and the chance to share God's word. When I'm not, I'm really looking around more at the church. Like, what's this like if I'm just a visitor here? I'm just like noticing things that needed to be fixed and stuff like that. And people come to me and go, "Man, you look kind of relaxed today. What's it?" I go, "Well, maybe it's because I'm not speaking. I don't know." But.
I mean, in any job, there's always the element of like, performance, right? You know what I mean? Like doctors have to perform, like teachers have to perform, so it's like every job has a performance element to it.
Yeah.
So when you are in, work mode, you kind of have a little bit of blinders on, kind of going like, okay, I have to make sure I'm here and I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to, talk to this person and make sure everybody's on the same page and stuff. So
I like it though. I feel like I'm when I'm not speaking, which I get a chance to first of all hear someone else, which is awesome. I feel like I'm getting a chance to really be spiritually fed, but also I'm instead of sitting in the front, I usually sit in the back. I feel a little it's more casual. I'm usually popping in. I popped in on the youth group yesterday and kind of saw what was happening there.
Cool.
And see what's going on in the kids' men, and just pop out in the parking lot, see what's happening. Just kind of it gives me a chance to be a little bit more like what's happening for in other parts of the church and not just on the platform.
Yeah. Well, in our church size too, it's we're we're in that like that realm where you can kind of get into the routine of like not seeing what's happening in the different ministries of our church, you know, just because there's so many moving pieces, you know. It's like we're smaller, but we're not really that small. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some Sundays I never even make it back to the youth room, you know, and I'm very much still connected with all of the musicians and worship leaders back there. And stuff,
although yesterday I saw you and Abby racing back to the youth room, right? On your way back there and then racing back to get. So I realized there's a lot going on when I'm speaking up there. You're running back and leading worship with the youth and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll get back there. Sometimes they'll, you know, they have it covered and, you know, all that stuff. And so, sometimes I'm going back and forth, but but when they do have it covered, there's weeks where I'm like, oh, I've never even made it back here, you know, yet to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's great. It's very, really good church and really healthy. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pucks, two sides to every puck, which is actually the origin of the the takeoff on that phrase. We're done with hats. The hats have been all given out.
Right.
It was great last week ago Sunday. The whole coffee team was wearing
I saw that
hats.
Yeah. I saw a few yesterday in the lobby too.
Oh yeah, they're showing up now.
Yeah.
And then but we still have several of the two sides to every puck bottle top openers. Right. So I'm thinking, what's a phrase that people can say that they can get one on Sunday? I think we should come up with a phrase that they have to come up. So it shows that they're listening to the podcast.
Right.
They come up, they say this phrase. We'll give them two side to every puck bottle opener. I don't even.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to just invent something right now, or you want to? You don't know. Not really? All right, before this podcast is over.
Yeah, there you go.
That way they have to listen to the whole podcast to
get
it, okay? Before this podcast, we will come up with a phrase.
Yes, okay.
Remind me.
I'll remind you.
Remind me before we get to the end of this. We got to come up with one. Maybe it'll just come out of, it'll come out of something we say.
There we go. You never know.
We'll say it and we'll go, that's it.
There we go.
That's what they need to say.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, today, what would Jesus drive? This actually was a listener's question.
Yeah.
Someone posted this as like, that would be a good, and the more I thought about it, I go, that could be a whole episode.
Right.
That's it's a fun question, but it actually gets down to some kind of serious stuff.
Yeah.
Because it kind of touches all of life. When you think about, not what would Jesus drive? How would he drive? It's a question. It kind of touches all of life. It's the lordship of Jesus. He impacts every part of our life, even the way we drive. So asking that question, I guess, what would Jesus drive is a different question.
That is a different question. Although that would be interesting.
What would you say? I absolutely know the answer to this, but go ahead.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I would say something very, I feel like very practical would be a good.
Yeah, you think you drive a practical car?
I think you drive a practical car, a very of the least of these practical car, like something that Dave Ramsey would be happy about. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a 10-year-old Toyota.
That's what I'm saying.
Honda, something like that.
Yeah. Doesn't have a monthly payment.
Oh, for sure. In my mind, no question, he would
I
drive
know
a VW bus. Of course he would drive
I should have seen that. Why didn't I see that coming?
Of course he would drive a VW bus. Can't you just picture it?
I can.
Long hair Jesus driving the VW bus.
Yeah.
There's the dad joke answer to that.
Okay.
Someone actually told me this joke like a week ago.
Nice.
And they said, what would Jesus drive? And their answer was a Chrysler. Very dad joke.
Nice.
Chrysler.
Yeah.
Or I've heard what would Jesus drive? He would drive a Honda.
Nice.
Because in the book of Acts it says the disciples were all together in one accord. And so that's how they got
That's
that
a good one. That's a good one.
But
they always say too, like, there's a holy chord. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay, there's a holy chord, and the chord is called G-sus.
The chord. That's a musician's joke.
For all the musicians out there, you'll like that one.
Yes, the G. I gotcha.
Yeah.
The question is not what would Jesus drive, but how would Jesus drive? Right. And to me, that gets kind of personal. Suddenly we're treading on, now you're kind of, meddling in my life a little bit when we start talking about how we drive, right? Uh-huh. In the old days, people don't put Christian bumper stickers on their car like they used to, but like 20 years ago, I felt like even longer, it was a big deal to have, a fish on your car or all kinds of emblems. And people used to say all the time back then, they used to say, oh, I'm not putting a fish on my car, or I'm not putting a Christian bumper sticker, because I don't drive, I don't want I don't want to be a bad testimony because I drive so, poorly. I don't want to be, but I'm thinking that's not the right way to think about it, right?
No.
That's sort of like, well, maybe you should change your driving then. Right. Maybe instead of saying I'm not going to be a bad witness, just how about being a good witness with the way you drive?
That's so funny. Just quick question for you: how about you be a good one?
How about just change it? Yeah,
just change the way you drive.
Change that. But people, I mean, they were serious. People would be serious with me, like, I can't do it because I don't drive. I'm a bad witness the way I drive. I'm thinking, well,
Were you watching me on the way in today to the church to drive? Because if in North County there's a canyon called Gopher Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the only way you can get to certain places in North County, right?
Right.
So it's really frustrating.
Were you on Gopher Canyon today?
I was on Gopher Canyon today.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Our friend Noah.
Yes.
Okay. Who does all of our graphics and stuff? He says that he drives Gopher Canyon if he wants to feel something. Because it's so scary because of the canyon.
Because it's so curvy.
Yes.
And people drive crazy?
People drive insane.
Yeah.
Or they drive way too slow. Mm-hmm. So then it takes what is, maybe a 20-minute drive, 15-minute drive, and it makes it 40 minutes because they don't know all the turns and everything if they're not used to driving the canyon. And so this morning I was digging deep. I was digging deep in the patience barrel.
Yes.
Because I was behind a slow driver today.
Ah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
So this is a good conversation for us.
Yes, it is good. That's what I was saying.
This is timely.
Yeah.
This is timely.
It is.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, well, it's maybe some people are driving right now as they're listening to this. They're on Gopher Canyon, or they're somewhere stuck behind a big truck, and they're and they need to hear this. Uh-huh. So I do know that when we start talking about driving, it gets personal with people. I mentioned it in a sermon, and people seem to squirm. So maybe we should have wristbands made of HWJD ? How would Jesus drive?
Yeah.
Because what would Jesus do? Remember those wristbands were kind of a big deal. Maybe some people still have them. Yeah. But how would Jesus drive? That would be a reminder, because you could wear it and you'd be seeing it when you're steering your car. You just see it when we visited Scotland a couple years back. Yeah. And we had, it was a whole family went, our kids as well as my wife and I, and so we needed 2 cars. We needed to rent 2 cars to get around, and we went up into the Scottish Highlands, and everything was really, really cool. But one of my sons and I were going to be the 2 drivers, so we went in to rent these cars, and obviously they knew right away we were Americans, and so they said, here's some wristbands for you to wear. I'm going, what's this? And they were green wristbands, and they just simply said, stay left. And they go, we put this on your left wrist because you are going to be tempted to drive on the wrong side of the street. Right. Because in Great Britain, they drive on the left. And so you put on your left wrist, and then you'd be driving along, and you just, anytime you were confused, you'd look down at your wrist and you see the left side, and you go, stay left, stay left, stay left. So we could do the same thing. We could how would Jesus drive? And you'd be driving along, and every time you're tempted to be impatient or
there you go,
aggressive or whatever, you'd have a chance. It'd be that reminder for you.
Yeah. Is the steering wheel on the other side?
Yes, the steering wheel is on the on the on the right side of the car, and where what would be our passenger seat.
Right. So the traffic is passing you on your side.
On your right.
Oh, wow.
It's passing you on your right.
Oh, that would
And
be
you're
so
on the-
confusing.
It is so confusing.
Yeah.
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 It's about it's the highways are okay. Like if you get on the what we call freeways,
Right.
and their highways, you just get in your lane and you just
You're
go.
good. You're
and
good.
You just
Yeah.
follow the car in front of you. But when you're in the city,
Ooh.
you're having to. It's so, and then you get to like a 4 or 5 way stop, and you're not. It's like. I'm just like get behind the car and just follow them, even if they're not going where I'm going. It's like just follow them until I can recorrect and figure out where I'm going, because I don't know how to navigate this corner.
Yeah. We're at a park. We wanted to go to lunch, but we're at a park.
Oh
now,
well,
so-
we're at the
here we are.
park. There we go. This isn't where we wanted to go, but it's where we are now.
Dad, I'm hungry. Well, I don't know where the restaurant is, so here we are.
Yeah, because we were just following that red truck, and this is where we ended up.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah, it was in the city was really, but I think it's maybe just as unnatural
Right.
for us to drive the way Jesus wants us to drive.
True.
It's just as unnatural.
True.
It's just because we have our, when we're used to driving a certain way, it's really hard to
Yeah.
change that.
Yeah, it is.
And that was a good reminder for
Yeah,
me when we
yeah.
were in Scotland.
Yeah, it is.
It seems to me most of us approach driving like we do life in general, and that is we assume the way we do it is the right way. Like if everybody would just drive like I drive,
Right.
things would be fine,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
If someone going slower than we are, they're an idiot. If someone's going faster than us, they're a maniac, right? It's like I'm right.
Yeah.
Someone races by us. What a maniac!
You're like, wait a minute. If I'm going 65, how fast is he going?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That guy just flew by,
Yeah.
maniac. And
Yeah.
then we get behind someone, they're like, they're an
You're
idiot.
like, oh, I can't
Come on.
I can't take this.
We do it right,
Yeah,
and that's our flesh.
Right.
That's our
Yeah.
sin nature that says, my way is the right way.
Right. I remember when going to driving school, right?
Yeah.
Like the first thing out of the instructor's, mouth was like, however your parents drove to get you here is not the right way. Like that's literally what he said. The first thing that he said. He's like, however you got here, not right.
Not the right way.
Not right.
Yeah.
He's like, here's the right way to
Yeah.
do it, so yeah.
Well, I think this is personal because we probably all need a little bit of correction the way we do it, myself included, because we tend to think our way is the right way.
Right.
Someone's going really slowly in front of us and we're frustrated.
Mhm.
And then you end up getting a chance to pass them and you see it's this like elderly great grandma driving along. And I go, you know what? Bless her heart. She probably shouldn't be driving any faster than that. Why
Right.
was I,
Why were you trying? Yeah.
why was I giving her such a hard
Right.
time in my mind when I
Right.
go,
Right.
that could be, when I'm that age, I hope other people give me grace,
Right.
driving that slowly, or, someone speeds by you and I imagine, well, maybe they're on the way to the hospital to have a baby,
Right. Yeah.
give
yeah.
them a little bit of
Right.
grace that maybe there's something urgent that
Right.
I don't know about
Right.
that is causing them to just,
Right.
drive,
Right.
crazy through it.
Yeah.
So,
Or you get stuck behind a VW bus and you go, well, this is as fast as it's going to go,
You know what? That's a little bit that was hurtful. That was unnecessary.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
You know what? Here's the thing. We have two cars, right?
Yes,
we have,
I do. Yeah,
we
yeah,
have my wife's regular, reliable car, and then we have the VW bus,
Right.
which is all, classic, but
Yeah.
not reliable,
Right.
and certainly not fast. And I drive both.
Right.
If we need to go someplace and and need to be there, we'll take the reliable car. But when I'm driving the bus, it's just a different experience. 'Cause people see you and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to get behind that guy," and they just speed up to get in front of you. Or you're coming up to a corner and they just turn right in front of you because it's like, I don't want to be behind him.
Yeah.
They just assume that it's going to be a bad experience
Right,
behind me.
right,
So
right.
you just have to be used to
You have to. Yeah.
cut off all the
Right.
time.
What do you always say about the air conditioning in the bus?
Yeah.
What do you always say?
Well, there's no air conditioning.
No, I know, but you always say
like,
something. I can't remember what you say.
260 air conditioning.
Yes, 260.
Open 2 windows and go 60 miles an hour. But you can't really go 60 miles an hour unless you're going downhill with the wind at your back. Right. So that's the only way. Yeah. The windows are the only air conditioning in the bus.
Yeah.
So it's fun though.
Yeah. My son is enamored.
Yeah.
Because once you gave him a tour, of it, and then you said that you can take the upper deck or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you can. You can like customize it and extend it and put beds and stuff. He's like,
that's what he wants.
We can all fit in there. He's like, we can fit all of our gear in there. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is the right car.
I don't know if Jesus would drive it. So
Jesus would drive it. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, well, here's 3 considerations for us. And knowing we're on, getting personal here.
Right.
But 3 considerations. One is driving. What if we drove? I think Jesus would drive with a we versus a me mentality.
Nice.
I think so often we drive with a me mentality.
Yes.
It's all about me.
Yes.
It's about me getting where I need to go, and we forget that we live in society.
Yeah.
And we live in community with other people, and so other people also have agendas and places they need to be too. And what if we I think Jesus would look at it in a sense of we versus me on the road, life in community, life in society, being instead of being selfish, we would be honoring to the other people that drive around us. Yeah. I feel like in small towns where everybody knows each other, they drive a lot better. Yeah, because they have this sense of like, I know these people. Right. This is we're in community, and the bigger. The freeway, the life in Southern California, you don't know anybody that's driving next to you. And so they're not, we impersonalize them. Right. And we forget that they're real people with real needs and agendas and schedules, just like we do. Right. And so I think Jesus would teach us to be mindful of those around us, to be honoring of those around us, rather than just being all about us. Right. Does that kind of make sense?
I heard something a while back, and I don't remember where I heard it, but he was saying the difference between driving in like a downtown, like a downtown San Diego, or like even like a downtown LA, is that you see someone's like car broken down on the side, and you kind of go like, well, I hope somebody fixes it. You know what I mean? Like I hope somebody takes care of it. You know what I mean? Where in the Midwest, or where you're kind of battling more of the elements, because it's like, Texas, it's like one day it's, it could be sunny and then an hour later it's raining. Yeah,
or snowing.
So it's like they kind of drive in a more defensive like, we'll get there when we get there because we don't know what it's going to look like when we get there. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember hearing that a while ago, that there's the difference between the two, people are a go in like a city, but when you have a little bit more open space, they're a little bit more cautious and a little bit more helpful.
You don't know. Yeah.
You just don't know.
You're a little bit more tentative about your plans. We tend to think, I've got, if everything goes right, if I hit every green light and there's no traffic and there's no accidents, I'll get here on time. Right. We give ourselves no margin. Whatsoever.
No. Zero. Yeah.
And then that's why we're frustrated, because there is a red light, or there is an accident, or someone's going slow in front of us, and we didn't factor that in. Right. But Jesus, I think, would teach us to live with a sense of others, valuing others, and not just self-centered. Yes. To live. Not, we tend to get competitive on the road. I feel like we feel like it's a race now. Right. I've got to, beat all these cars around me, or, choose, rather than live in a sense of community. Right. That together we're all trying to achieve, whatever it is.
I'm always like, I always get frustrated when I don't pick the right lane. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when it like kind of starts to slow down a little bit, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to get to that. I want to get to that lane. Yeah. And then you're in that lane, and then the other lane starts moving. You're like, I've made the wrong decision. That's where I get frustrated.
Yeah. See, what I do is I do that at Costco gas. Yeah. If someone, like, I feel like they're not following the rules, like they cut in the line. Yes. then I remember which vehicle they are, and I try to beat them out. I try to go, I'm gonna choose the quicker lane, So easy for us to be competitive, rather than communal, which I think is how Jesus would teach us to drive as well if he was doing Jesus's driver's training.
Right.
The second kind of consideration would be, it kind of ties into the name of this podcast. I think Jesus would be unhurried when he's driving. He would be driving unhurried. If people are listening to the podcast unhurried and just stressed out in traffic, it's probably, even the name of this podcast probably is a good reminder there. But sometimes we think, I'm too busy to be unhurried, but it's possible to be busy and still unhurried. I think Jesus most of the time was busy,
right?
But he wasn't hurried.
Yeah,
he was unhurried, even though he was very busy. And I think the same can be true for us. Often when we're on the road, we're busy and we've got places to be and things to do. We're trying to meet some kind of schedule, but that doesn't mean we have to be hurried along the way. There's a difference there.
Right.
So part of that would just be good planning.
Yeah.
For us to, sometimes we just don't plan well
right.
to realize how long it's actually going to take.
Right.
But a lot of the times it's just interruptions have happened. Life is just happening.
Yeah.
And
it's busy.
suddenly you're just, you didn't expect something to come your way, and now you're a little bit behind, and so we get interrupted.
Right.
But if you look at Jesus was interrupted all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the sense that didn't throw him. He still lived his life on purpose with the sense that God was still in control of his schedule, even though these interruptions happen. And I think we can be the same way, even if we're running behind because it took longer for the kid to find their uniform
right.
than you thought it was going to take. And that's just life happening. We still don't have to be hurried on the road, even if we're trying to meet a deadline.
Right. Those little things that the kids do, like in kindergarten. Sorry.
Things like,
sorry, I got unplugged.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back here. I'm back in. Like those little things that they like the stories about dad or the stories about mom, and it's like dad's favorite color or dad's favorite sports team or something. So Remy in kindergarten, it was like about dad, so it was like he drew a little picture of he and I, and it was like something that your dad says, and then so Mother's Day is before, right?
Yeah.
So Mandy's was like, I think he said something like, she tells me she loves me or something like that, and it was like really sweet. And then for mine, it was get in the car.
What does dad say? Get in the car.
It's a get in the car, we're late. It's just so funny because I literally say that every day. Like, get in the car, we're late. Running around trying to get everybody in the car.
Man.
Oh my
All right,
God.
that's got to be the expression that people say to us on Sunday.
Get in the car, we're late.
Get in the car, we're late. Come up to Ryan or me on Sunday and say, get in the car, we're late. And we will hand you a 2-sided bottle opener puck.
There you go. All
right?
Go. Oh my gosh, it's just so funny. I'm like, this is what my son thinks in his little brain. Like this is what he thinks.
Mom says I love you. Dad says get in the car, we're late. Oh man. Well, if that doesn't speak to real life, I don't know what does. That's exactly the way we are. And life is just filled with interruptions and we're always feeling behind. But somehow I think Jesus would teach us to be unhurried even in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
To somehow convey calm and peace and realizing that God's still in control, whether we're on time early or late.
Right.
He's still on time.
Yeah.
And not be hurried in the pace. Jesus didn't hurry. He was purposeful. And I feel like we live so much of our life destination oriented. Like we're supposed to be at practice right now, or we're supposed to be at the dentist right now, or whatever it is. And instead of, we're always focused on the destiny rather than the journey. And Jesus, I feel like he took advantage of the journey. He would teach his disciples as they were on the road and as they were going, and he was in the moment. And we can be in the moment even when we're in traffic. And even when we're behind schedule. We can still be in the moment and be intentional and realize that the road itself is a chance to interact with God and to experience his peace and his presence. And if you got people in the car with you to enjoy their company.
Jeff Daniels, the actor, who was in Dumb and Dumber, very smart man, but he was in Dumb and Dumber, and really good actor. He said that the part, one of the hardest parts about him and raising his children, and now that they're older, is the destination to places. Is that's the part in the car that he didn't realize he was going to miss so much, was that everybody was in the same place at the same time. And eventually, they grow up, and then, you don't have them in the same place at the same. But he knew, like, he looks back on those memories of going and rushing off to, hockey practice or rushing off to the dance studio or school or whatever, and he looks back at those and goes, you know what, those were some cherished moments because we were all together in a car. You know what I mean? Like,
a guy that used to be part of our staff here, who was here for many years, also named Doug, he would say the same thing. He would say his favorite time was when he had his whole family in the car, and they were on a long road trip, and he would just be looking around in the rearview mirror, whatever, see everybody and go, everybody's together. And so, but we miss that when we get destination oriented. Like we're going to get there and suddenly that's going to be better, and we miss the moment. And so I think Jesus would be, maybe it's okay to be busy, but not necessarily to be hurried. We should be unhurried. Yeah. So would Jesus listen to the Unhurried podcast if he were driving?
You know what? That's a good question too. What's Jesus's playlist?
Right. What is he listening to?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say we should be listening to him rather than him listening to us. That's
right.
A better way to think about it.
Yeah.
But we fixate on the arrival. Jesus valued, the journey with his disciples and with others. And so we can see even the driving being a part of our spiritual formation, not just about transformation, but us really being changed as we interact with God and allow the detours and the distractions and the accidents along the way and the traffic to actually teach us some good lessons along the way.
Yeah, very much so.
Then the final thing is, I think Jesus, if he were doing our driver's training, he was teaching us how to drive.
Sure. He
would tell us that we should have grace towards others, because how many times have we needed grace on the road?
Yeah.
I remember one time I was so used to going downtown with Cindy to this, we'd have to go down, but we would jump on the carpool lane. Because you could drive it with two in the vehicle. And this one time, I just was by myself, and I jumped onto the carpool lane.
Right.
And I'm going, oh no, what have I done? And I had to wait a couple miles until I could get off. And I just felt like such a, criminal. I'm just like breaking the law here, driving here by myself. And unfortunately, I didn't get pulled over or anything. But, I go, man, I could be so critical if I'm in the carpool lane. I see someone driving by themselves.
Yeah,
I could be looking. Oh, really? What are you doing?
Yeah, you're like, come on,
but here I was.
Right.
Right. And how many times have we needed grace, or have driven poorly, or made cut someone off unintentionally or whatever? I think Jesus would teach us to have grace towards others as well, realizing that we've often done the exact same thing that's bothering us right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, and I always like when you get in the car too, you feel, and especially, if you have kids and stuff in the car too, I think you feel like very defensive, so you project a lot, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a perfect driver.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's perfect, but it's like you project a lot of going like, well, look at this crazy guy, or like, what's he doing? Or because you feel like you're like, I'm driving basically a motorized vehicle. Like that's what we're driving, right?
Yes.
So it's like, but then it's like, and then he's not being responsible with it, but I'm trying to be responsible, and it's like, and then it's the, it's just this like, your senses, and you just like tense up, and you get all like anxious in the car, it's like, so
it's like we've been taught, and maybe rightly so, that those other vehicles are a threat, and so we drive defensively because we don't want ourselves or our family to be injured, which makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that. But to add to that, to also drive with grace.
Yes.
To not only
not
just be defensive, but also be gracious. With people.
Yes. And especially with kids and stuff, it's like they drop something in the back, and then all of a sudden you're driving, and it's like, they're like calling, and I'm like, I can't look right now, what I mean? Like, so it's like there's just so many distractions also in the car too, so to drive very grace, oriented, I think is a good thing.
Yeah. Cindy and I have a phrase that we use a lot when we see someone, just, let's say we're waiting for a parking place, and then they pull in front and steal it or whatever, and you're just tempted to be just so bothered, angry, or what they do, and we just say, they miss a chapter in the book about how to function well in society. They miss that chapter. They skip that chapter, and it's really, really, it doesn't have to ruin my day.
Right.
I can move on, and still I kind of want to get a better parking place than them after that, but I try not to get competitive.
Right.
Well, so hopefully, that's, I'd be really interested if anybody's actually driving while they're listening to this.
Yeah.
If it changed, you changed your perspective on how you drove. If you had any experiences on the road while you're listening to this, while we're talking about that'd be kind of fun here too. So let us know. We always love hearing from you. Leave a comment on YouTube, or you can always text or email us at unhurriedpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. This whole conversation has come from a listener question.
Right.
Normally, first time we've ever done that, where we've spent a whole episode on the listener question, but normally we like to take one at the end. So if you have a listener question, you can send that to us as well, and we'll do our best to address that on the air as well. Hopefully there's been an encouragement to you. And once again, so do you remember what people have to say to us on Sunday morning if they want the two-sided puck?
Get in the car. We're late.
Get in the car. We're late. Just come up to us, and we'll know you were listening, and we will gladly hand you one of these bottle caps. That'll be funny. I want to hear if people do that with you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be so funny.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for following along with us. I hope this has been an encouragement to you. Thank you, Ryan, for just the conversation, the dialogue. It's been great. Also, thank you to our enthusiastic viewers and listeners. Until next time, this has been Unhurried with me, your host, Doug Kyle. I look forward to talking soon.